Member for Roe.
Mr Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to address the House today in my new role as Member for Roe. The electorate of Roe is named after John Septimus Roe, 1797 to 1878, explorer, pioneer and first Surveyor General of this great state. Indeed, one of the founding members of the Legislative Council and the executive of the Swan River Colony. His picture is featured with Captain James Stirling at the first council, which is pictured at the entrance to this Parliament House. The electorate of Roe is a large area in the southeast of Western Australia and involves an area of 90,000 square kilometres with a population of 20,000 and a voting population of 12,000. Esperance is the main centre, situated in the most southeastern corner of the electorate, with a small agricultural centre of Salmon Gums in the northeast, Coolin 450 kilometres to the northwest, and Bremer Bay in the coast far southwest corner. There are over 30 schools in the area, 10 hospitals and nursing posts, and many of government service centres. The area is over 1/3 of the size of Victoria. From the minute I stepped into this place, Mr Speaker, I could feel the deep privilege of being one of only 57 people to represent this state in the greatest system of democratic government in the world. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the parliamentary staff for helping me orientate myself without any preconceptions or prejudice in order to create an environment where I can effectively represent my constituents. My background emanates from a pioneering spirit, where as a 7-year-old boy I was brought to the West by my gutsy, determined father and a supportive, loving mother, looking for farming land. The Esperance region was being released as conditional purchase blocks to small settlers from 1955 onwards. Prior to this, the Esperance sandplain was considered non-arable until the Agricultural Department trials revealed an addition of trace elements to the land made it a productive mixed farming region. As a kick-start to this process, the WA state government released 1 million acres west and 1 million acres east to the Chase Syndicate, who developed the land together with many Victorian landholders like my mum and dad. I would like to pay tribute to both of them and my dad today in the public gallery for such a pioneering background. Their resolve shown largely sees me here today. Having settled in those days 43 miles west of Esperance on the Lort River, by a waterhole, in a caravan, near a gravel track, with virgin bush all about, a farm was carved. My sister, Jenny, 2 years my junior, was my sole playmate, both of us being taught correspondence as the track was so rough we could not attend the local school. I thank her for those great memories. Eventually, we did attend formal schooling with excellent grounding in the 3 R's and parents who put a high priority on achieving your best at school. I was fortunate enough later in life to be accepted into medical school and graduated as a doctor in 1976. 25 years of rural medical practice now sees me in this privileged place. In that time, I have not been idle, as I have now with my wife Catherine, had 5 children. I will ignore the member's undoubted temptation to suggest that this is a result of poor or no TV reception in the bush. It is, despite this, appropriate to acknowledge Catherine and her contribution, and that is extra to her powers of procreation. She has been most supportive in my life and later in my campaign for Parliament. We both most respectfully, of course, do not approve of the dilution of traditional family values that can emanate from the government side of this House. Of course, more importantly, most of my electors do not approve of it either. May I also thank Jessie, Daniel, Aubrey, Lucy, who's here today, and Julian for their understanding in this process, a cause worth pursuing for many children like them in this great state of Western Australia. Mr. Speaker, I would like to touch on a most pervading, overwhelming difficulty facing the 30 small centres that I represent in the electorate of Roe. How to maintain services that small communities deserve, have earned and desire, while faced with that, what I call, diminishing community economies of scale. For instance, how to maintain a hospital in Inaugural where there is little growth, a declining younger population as farms amalgamate, but significant distance from help if one is critically ill. I am ever conscious of the result of downsizing a hospital, losing a doctor, then losing the pharmacist, then the butcher, as people go to the next town to see the doctor and shop there. This will spell the death knell of many, many country towns. In travelling the area and being a country boy, what is clear is that not everything can be justified in dollars and cents terms. Many of the people in the Inaugurups, the Lake Graces, the Jerramungups, have done hard pioneering yards, like my dad, if you like. One cannot begin to calculate what they've done to add value to Western Australia. One cannot begin to calculate what they've attracted to the great gross state product. And finally, one cannot begin to calculate what they've paid in taxes and charges, especially under governments like this government. And if this was not enough, as a rural doctor, I recognise the human costs of a poorly serviced health system. However, aside from this, Mr. Speaker, what is the raison d'etre, the reason for being, if you like, for a state government? I humbly suggest it is to administer essential services, often a gain which cannot be justified in profit and loss terms, to all people in Western Australia, not just in Peppermint Grove and not just in Mandurah. It seems there's plenty of money for underground railroad tunnels and revamped East Perth power stations into heritage centres, but none for the ordinary people. Much of the pain of ordinary people, hard-working, long-suffering, honest people, could be relieved by attention to the basics in the area of power, for instance. Half my electorate this summer has been on fire. And I don't mean turned on or enthusiastic, I mean literally burning. Why is this? Is it the unenergetic or incompetent power service staff? No, in fact, they are competent and hard-working and have been stretched to the absolute limit. I would suggest the maintenance funding has been scalped with no money to maintain transmission infrastructure crews maintain infrastructure itself to prevent my electorate burning due to pole fires, clashing wires, with frequent outages and with enormous cost and inconvenience, and even, in some cases, loss of life. Much of the pain of ordinary people could be relieved by attention to another basic service, the provision of water. It may surprise the members, Mr. Speaker, that I have a town in my electorate that ran out of water. The Water Corporation is carting water to the town of Ravensthorpe from centres 200 kilometres away. Now, allowing for the dry season, this area is noted for them, there still needs to be some forward planning to drought-proof the region. It was interesting to note that my parliamentary colleague and predecessor mentioned this in his maiden speech 16 years ago. Not much has changed. What is happening now is a knee-jerk reaction at the end of summer. A large pipe is being laid from a desalination holding tank on the hill southwest of the town to a dry town dam. Honestly, we are not asking for much, just the basics. Health, power, water, education, and a fair go for small business. The rest, I suggest to you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House, will look after itself. Just a small follow-up, Mr. Speaker, is the topic of encouragement to a small group of dedicated farmer businessmen in Jerramungup, centrally placed in my electorate. They have a well-researched project, a value-added industry of stock feed pellets, which we as parliamentarians need to recognise and support in a town faced with all the problems of a small population, all the problems that I've talked about previously, a down-spiralling of facilities and services. These centres often need a circuit breaker, and this can be it. Mr. Speaker, I put to the members, they have not seen anything yet. I have just touched on the deficiencies of country core services. If that is not bad enough, now that side of the House wants to take the vote off them. They call it electoral reform. Reform that will see country people, ordinary, hard-working, honest people, lose 5 to 8 representatives, depending on what mix, as you've heard earlier today, that they come up with. If one had any doubt from my brief outline of the deficiencies in rural Western Australia on the metrocentricity of this government, they are now totally dispelled. My electorate will not be a 5-hour drive, but an 8-hour drive from east to west. I ask you, what representation for the people of Western Australia is that? None. I have outlined how many schools, hospitals, government centres I've already got in the electorate. How many more? The member for Yokine can walk around his electorate before lunch. I will take a week of lunches and I will be driving. I suggest, Mr. Speaker, that this is a blatant betrayal of my electors, and I consider it a privilege to be here to fight it. One can try to justify with figures like dollars and cents, but that does not make it right. On a different tack, Mr. Speaker, is the subject of my responsibility as drug abuse spokesman. In my work over the last quarter of a century, I have seen the devastation illicit drugs has on individuals and families. I've seen the tragedy of portraying cannabis as harmless and the futility of harm minimisation programs. At the Esperance Hospital, that I'd worked out over my time, we just last month gave out 1,000 needles and syringes in 1 month in the FitPack program. A FitPack program, a harm minimisation program that is a disaster, fostering a younger and younger clientele into intravenous drug use abuse. We know that illicit drugs are dangerous. They are dangerous because they create enormous health and social problems and make existing problems worse. We should, by every means, prevent our children starting on the use of these drugs. We should be hard on suppliers, loving but firm on users, and do not send them the wrong messages, as I believe decriminalisation programs do. As a member and a Christian, I will support the good work done by Teen Challenge in Esperance in bringing young people out of bondage to addiction. I commend, Mr. Speaker, to the House a book by Jade Lewis, Nee McSherry, Golden Haze, to every member, as we all know of a young person who has fallen victim. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the community for having the faith in me and my patients voting for me. I give an undertaking now to work for them outside my surgery in order to deliver better outcomes in health and other services. I will take my doctor's skills of thorough history, specialist opinion, objective examination and assessment to deliver a diagnosis and treatment for my electorate. I thank my committee, particularly David Dwyer and Alan Matthews, Norma Smith, my campaign office manager, Irene Biles, my IT manager, and my understanding surgery staff in delivering a Liberal member to the seat of Roe after 22 years since the days of the Honourable Jeff Brewer. The 48.5% primary vote was a tribute to their dedication, with a 27.5% swing to the Liberals. As I said in my memo to the Liberal Party members, for my sins and for perhaps theirs, I am their whip. I look forward to the functions of this appointment in order to form a keen, hard-working and respected opposition, thus a deserved team to govern next time round. Good opposition in the meantime is important in this great Westminster system that we have been blessedly inherited. I look forward with excitement in working with my opposite number, the member for Mandurah, and both sides of the House to deliver good and right government to the people of Western Australia. Thank you, members, for your forbearance.